still doing the, so what we're learning here, it's actually like the very foundation of everything else that you will shall learn going forward. Like from here on out, you will hear a lot of stuff right there, but this is the very basic, right? And I hope that you guys going forward don't complicate things like some of the people did for themselves. So the Prophet ﷺ said, he said, this deen is kind of strong. It's just like somebody who was going to the gym for the first time and he wants to get like bulky from the get-go, right? What's going to happen to that person?
They're gonna stop going to the gym.
That's it. Or they're going to end up hurting themselves or end up in a hospital or something, right? He said, so the deen is exactly like that. He says, أَوْغِلُوا فِيهِ بِرِفْقٍ. He says, go in it slowly, right? Because if you want to, he says, the deen is going to beat you then, right? Because, and a lot of people do this, like a lot of people go and then they just exit from the other end very quickly. So, but this here is the very basic. A lot of people might think, well, because a lot of Muslims are just, I already know this. And then if you stop them and say, okay, well, can you tell me about Shahada? Like, what does it stand for? What does it constitute? Because it's very interesting. And the same goes for Salah, the same. And then we'll pass on to these, right?
And I think that's what we ended on last time, isn't it?
Hmm?
I think this part's the one we ended on last time.
Right. We're still going to go back to each one of these articles and spend time on it. Like, this may take us, I don't know, 2-3 weeks just going over this. Because we want to know what it really is. Because the whole deen is La ilaha illallah. Every prophet that came with La ilaha illallah. I don't know if we're going to get to see Isa again. Hopefully, we're maybe the lucky ones. I mean, to maybe just happen to see him. The Prophet ﷺ, he said his breath, the breath of Isa, it's gonna, like his breath goes so far out to where his vision stops. And he says there is no mu'min or believing that actually inhale it or smell it or something like that, that they get more lively, right? He used to tell them, the Prophet ﷺ, to the companions, and this is now 1400, maybe it's getting close to 50, 1450, it's not there yet, but it's getting very close, that yushiku an yanzila fikum. He says, Isa is about to come down, right? And this happened long. Now, for us, 1,000, 2,000 years for us is a long time. For the prophets, it's nothing, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Especially the early ones who lived 900 years.
Right. And so, when he's going to come back, he's going to establish La ilaha illallah as the Prophet ﷺ. He's going to come back as a man of authority. When he was on earth, like, we have a halaqah, which is a study circle. We have that every Sunday, but we have it also at the Carlisle Masjid every Saturday between Maghrib and Isha. And we've been talking for maybe 2 months about David and Sulaiman, right? Dawood and Sulaiman. And if you look in all the prophets, as we're going to talk about them, is to believe in the messengers and prophets. It's part of Emaan. As the Prophet, when he told him, he says, what is Emaan? He says, Emaan is to believe in all these, right? So that means you have to believe in all the prophets, those that we know by name and those that we don't know by name, those that Allah has already mentioned to us and those that he chose not to mention to us. But we kind of believe in them in a general sense. Like Yunus we know, Nuh we know, Dawood we know, Yaqub, Yusuf, Isa, Zakaria, Maryam, all of these we know because Allah mentioned each one of them, right? But some, as Allah told in the Quran, He says to the Prophet ﷺ, and He says, and some we chose not to tell you about, right? So when He's going to come back, so out of all the prophets, The only two who had full authority is Dawood and his son Suleiman. Like they were on the earth as kings and prophets. When I say king, as we have established, that is a man of authority. That's a man that does not accept no. But at the same time, he is a prophet. So when he sent that letter to that queen, he told her, you better come to me as Muslims. Right? Now, Musa didn't have that privilege. Isa definitely didn't have that privilege. Because Isa was being persecuted. He's being followed. And Isa is one prophet that never had a set residency. He was moving around. And he was being afraid. And they wanted to actually kill him. Musa and Muhammad, they are almost identical in their life circumstances. Very identical, right? How they got driven out of their birthplace. Muhammad got driven out of Mecca. Musa got driven out from Egypt, where he was born, right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took care for it. But all his life he was persecuted, right? His people were persecuted. So he resembles the Prophet ﷺ. And Isa, right? The environment where he showed up was already kind of like not safe at all, right? And then they are waiting for this Messiah. But once he told them I'm the Messiah, they said, no, we don't like you. So we're just gonna still keep on waiting for a Messiah. He said, I am him. This is me. They said, no, you're a liar. And we are going to finish you. So they did all that just to get rid of Isa alayhi salam. But when he comes back, he's not coming back as somebody. He's gonna come back as a man of authority. You see what I'm saying? Like he's gonna come back from the heavens, and inshallah, maybe we'll get to see him. Allahu a'lam. Right? Yes.
But doesn't the Dajjal have to come first?
Right.
And
So he's the one who's gonna kill that Dajjal.
But then
right?
that's like really bad times.
Hmm?
When the Dajjal comes back, that's like rough
Right.
going. So yes, it'd be good to see him, but that's gonna be a big challenge
Right.
getting up to it.
So, and then when he comes back, this is gonna be his priority, right? Is the shahada, it's la ilaha. This is me. The people who used to say, I am the Son of God. I am God Himself. I am not the Son of God. I am not the God Himself. It's just like what He used to tell them. It's not my will, it's the will of Him who sent me. So that is la ilaha illallah, right? And so when the Prophet ﷺ was being asked, I sent you guys all the long hadith. And so that's exactly how it played out. So the man came, Omar is the narrator of the event or incident, and he says, no one has ever seen this man before. No one among us know who this man is. And now he has the audacity to be asking him and then confirming what he's asking, like, who is this guy? And then you read what happened toward the end, right? So that's why they call this hadith the hadith of Jibreel. This is how it's known. And it's very well known. It's very well known. However, I guarantee you there's a lot of Muslims who said that. They said, they may remember this part of this, but when I say to them, this is really, really important. Because that's the whole deen. This is the whole deen. And remember what he said to him toward the very end. When he left, he just left. And then the Prophet ﷺ, Omar said, we stayed for a short while, like Makathna Maliyan. Then the Prophet told Omar, he said, do you know who that person was? What did Omar say?
The one who's like a lot.
But
Omar said, Allah and His messengers know better. We would say what you were about to say. We would say that.
Allahu Akbar.
No, you were going to say that Omar told him that
No, he was gonna say. I thought he was gonna say like there's a saying, the one in whose hand is their soul is. You know what I mean? The one whose hand, my soul is in his hand,
No,
is the, that's what I thought maybe he would say.
no.
Sound like him?
That's not what he said. He said to him that Allah and his messengers know. So every time you would ask them a question like that, right? They would not jump and say, "Oh, I know." They would always say, "Allah and his messengers know best." He said to them, that was Jibreel, right? He came, listen, to teach you your deen. You understand? He said that. That's the whole deen. He says what he was asking me, that's the whole deen. He came to teach you your deen. Because this is the deen, and that's the deen. Right? Now, based on this is based, like, the Islam is built on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And again, we will go through each one of these. But here, he said to him, okay, you are correct. Now tell me about Al-Iman. Can you say Iman?
Emaan.
Iman. Al-Iman. Al-Iman is the Iman. T-H-E Iman, right? Al-Iman. He
Which is
said,
like the belief, right?
belief or faith,
Okay.
right? So he said to him in Arabic, Mal Iman. What is Iman? You notice in Arabic, he just uses one word. Ma al-Iman. In English, what is Iman?
So he connects the ma and the la.
Right, Mal Iman.
Oh.
Right? He says al-Iman. And tu'mina billah is to have Iman in Allah, to have Iman in His angels, to have Iman in His books, to have Iman in His messengers, to have Iman in the last day, and to have Iman in the Qadar.
Good or bad.
So if I stand here and I say to Don, can you repeat all 6 of them, what would you do?
I'd say no.
You just look down at your
Would
notes.
you remember?
I could do that.
Would you remember them or no?
I think so.
Go ahead.
So Allah, His angels,
Is
His
to
books,
believe in Allah,
His angels,
His angels,
His books,
Yes.
His messengers,
yes,
the last day,
yes.
and Qadr, predestination.
Alhamdulillah. See, that's very
What
nice.
is Qatar again?
Oh, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
Okay.
Like
Inshallah.
It's like destiny.
Yeah.
Predestination, like
Yes.
everything's already written.
Right. So to believe in Allah. So here's what we're gonna do. You tell me what you want to do. I was gonna talk about these first, then we'll come to these. Would you prefer that? Hmm? Now, if you look at this part and this part, what would you say the difference is? Like, what makes these stand out, or these stand out, or what would be the things that are not common between this section and that section?
That's go ahead.
I was just saying, those are more of like an action, where those are more of just a
That's
belief.
very good.
Yeah.
Right, that's very good. And these are?
Just like a belief.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Islam, there is something called the deeds of the heart, right? And then the physical deeds. And there's a way that they can actually be one, right? Like, for example, in a little bit, we're going to hear the adhan of Maghrib, which is Salat, which is the second pillar of Islam. Because he says, what is Islam? He says Islam is to say Shahada, is to establish Salat, to give Zakat, do Siyam, and then go to Hajj if you can afford it, right? Hey, when you go to Salat starts with
Roger.
an intention.
Oh yeah.
The intention is always in the heart, right? You don't say, as some people say, okay, I'm intending now to get up and then do Maghrib like Allah does it. You know what Salah is next. You already know that, right? Within your head and your heart. But they say the place of the niyyah is in the heart, right? You see how now it's connected. And then when you stand in Salah, of course you're standing with your body, but then again, you're doing all these things with your heart. When you go into sujood, you believe in Allah. The one that you are making prostration for is Allah. And now you connect both, right? But these here are is what they call them, the deeds of the heart. If you want to write it down, the deeds of the heart. They call them in Arabic al-a'mal al-qalbiyya. Alright, so we're gonna stop here inshallah, and then we'll resume after Maghrib, because I think it's pretty close, isn't it?